God help me in this mess I have gotten myself into. I have forgotten what I was writing about last. Business and health matters forced me to set the work aside just when we were getting to the best part so far. Since I have such a poor memory, it will probably all be very confusing from here on, because I simply cannot bear to go back and read it over again. This is what I'm worried about anyway. It seems to me that I was talking about consolations and prayer, and how they are sometimes entwined with our passions. This can trigger fits of sobbing. I've heard some people say that they experience a sense of constriction in their chests and even uncontrollable movements in their limbs. These experiences can be so powerful that they can cause nosebleeds and other painful effects. Since I haven't been through anything like this myself, I can't say much about it. I'm sure these kinds of things must be very consoling, though, because they're all about loving God and basking in presence. What I call spiritual sweetness is a very different thing. Those of you who have experienced this will know what I mean. In other books, I have referred to this state as the prayer of quiet. See if this image helps you understand what I mean. There are two fountains, and they each have a basin to be filled with water. You know, I haven't found any better metaphor for describing certain spiritual experiences than water. I love this element. I have spent a great deal of time contemplating it. These two basins fill up in different ways. The water from one comes from far away, carried through many aqueducts requiring much ingenuity. The source of water for the other is right beside it, and the basin fills soundlessly. The spring is abundant, and so the basin spills over, and a large stream flows from it. This requires no engineering skills or the construction of conduits. The water just continuously bubbles forth. I think that the water that comes through the aqueducts is like spiritual consolations in meditation. We draw these consolations through our thoughts, we meditate on created forms to help us, and we fatigue our minds. Finally, through our own efforts, comforting feelings come splashing in, making noise as they fill up the basin. With the other fountain, the water springs directly from its own source, God. When Majesty wishes to bless us with supernatural favor, the delight brings with it the greatest peace, quietude, and sweetness to our innermost selves. I don't know where it comes from or how it comes. Earthly consolations are felt in the heart. This kind is not, at least not at first. Later, once the spiritual delight has filled every vessel in the soul, overflowing into all the faculties in each of the dwellings, it reaches the body. That's why I say that it starts in God and ends in ourselves. Anyone who has experienced this knows that ultimately our whole outer selves definitely come to enjoy these sweet pleasures. As I write this, I'm thinking again of that verse I mentioned, Dilatasti cor meum, which says that the heart is expanded. But I don't think this is an experience of the heart. I think its source is much deeper inside. I think it must come from the very core of our being. I have seen secret things in my soul that have left me dumbfounded, and how many more than these must there be? Oh, my beloved, my God, how awesome is your grandeur! We walk around down here like silly little shepherds, believing that we are starting to actually know something about you, but it must add up to nothing at all. There are even secrets in our own selves that we cannot fathom. What I mean is that in light of the vastness that is God, our little minds can know nothing at all. This is not to say that what we do see of you is not extraordinarily wonderful, or that your works are anything less than magnificent. Returning to the biblical passage, what is most useful here, I think, is the part about expansion. As the heavenly water begins to surge from the spring deep inside us, it spreads and expands our whole inner being and gives rise to ineffable blessings. The soul herself cannot even understand what is unfolding here. She senses a certain fragrance, we could say, as if within the depths of her being there were burning coals sprinkled with sweet perfumes. We cannot see the light or locate the source of the fire, but the sweet-smelling warmth permeates the whole of our soul and maybe even spreads into the body. Look, try to understand what I'm saying. We don't actually feel heat or smell an aroma. The experience is far more delicate than that. Even if you have not gone through these things yourself, you must know that they really do happen. The soul perceives and understands this more clearly than my mere words could ever express. No matter how intensely we may crave spiritual delight, we cannot acquire it through our own efforts. It is not forged of the same metal that we are, but is made from the purest gold of divine wisdom. I don't think that the faculties are unified here, but they are absorbed, gazing amazed at what they behold. It could be that as I write about these matters, I am contradicting what I have said in other places. Almost 15 years have passed since I composed the book of my life, and maybe the Beloved has given me clearer insight about these matters than I had before. Of course, I could be just as mistaken now as I was then, but I could not be lying. By the mercy of God, I would rather die 1,000 deaths than lie. I am just sharing what I know to be true. It seems to me that our will here is in some way united with God's will, but there is no better crucible for testing the genuine value of prayer than the effects and the actions that follow it. If the person receiving this grace recognizes it, then the Beloved is granting her an incredibly great favor. If she doesn't turn back, the Beloved is granting her another huge favor. You will want to attain this depth of prayer yourselves, my friends, and you will be right to want this. The soul can never understand the blessings the Beloved is granting her here, or the love with which the Beloved is drawing her nearer and nearer. It would be a good thing to know how to obtain this mercy. I'll tell you what I have found out about it. There are, of course, times when the Beloved grants blessings for no reason other than simply wanting to. The Beloved knows why, and we shouldn't meddle in this. After you've done what you need to do in the dwellings you've passed through, remember, humility! Humility! This is how the Beloved allows himself to be conquered and will do anything you want. The way you will know if you are humble is that you will not believe that you have earned these mercies and blessings from the Beloved, nor that you will ever have them in your whole life. You'll ask me how you will ever attain them if you do not seek them out. My answer is that there is no better way than by not striving. Here are some reasons why. First, we must love God above all, unmotivated by self-interest. Second, thinking that in exchange for our insignificant services we are entitled to such a great reward indicates a slight lack of humility. Third, true preparation for these blessings consists not in the desire for consolations, but in the desire to suffer as the Beloved suffered. Fourth, while Highness is bound to grant us glory if we keep the commandments, God is not obliged to do us any favors we may crave. Without having our whims satisfied, we can still be liberated. The Highness knows better than we do what is right for us, knows that we love. I'm absolutely sure of this. I know people who walk the path of love solely to serve their Christ. Not only do they refuse spiritual delights, but they do not even desire them. In fact, they actually beseech God not to distract them with such pleasures in this lifetime. The fifth reason we should not strive for spiritual sweetness is that it would be a complete waste of time. This is not the kind of water that is carried through conduits. We accomplish nothing by tiring ourselves out when we cannot draw water from the source. What I mean is that no matter how much we practice meditation, however hard we squeeze ourselves, or how many tears we weep, this kind of water doesn't come to us like that. God gives it only to those to whom it is God's will to give it, and often when the soul least expects it. We are the Beloved's friends. May God do whatever God pleases with us. May God lead us in ways that best serve. We must truly humble ourselves and stay detached. I say truly because this is not a matter of thinking it. Thought can deceive us. I mean utter humility, complete detachment. Whoever can do this, be assured that the Beloved will not fail to grant her such blessings, and many others she does not even know how to desire. May the Beloved be praised and blessed forever. Amen.